So in this video, we're going to be talking about what is a polynomial and how can we classify the different types. So we actually have already been working with some polynomials in this class already. Now we're just going to kind of formalize the name and talk about the different types because we're going to look at different types in the next couple of days in this class. So basically, the definition of a polynomial is it's an expression with terms. And a term is just variables and or a number connected by addition and subtraction. So anything right here in these examples would be a polynomial. So x plus 2, that's a polynomial. And let me kind of separate them so you can see. So this would be a polynomial. And this is a linear polynomial actually because we've already been working with things that look like x plus 2. Eventually we're going to start working more with things that look like x squared plus 2x minus 1. Again, it's a polynomial because it have variables and numbers that are just being connected with addition and subtraction. This is also a polynomial. Again, we're going to be looking at things like this, a cubed minus ab plus 3. And then something more simple would be 4b. Again, we've already seen something like this, but now we're just formalizing the name. Okay, every variable in our number that is being connected by addition and subtraction is called a term. And so that's basically the first way that we can classify a polynomial is by how many terms we have. So if we have one term, we call this a monomial. And so basically anything like this on right here is a monomial. So 2x is a monomial because I only have one term. 5b, 2x squared, the number 5, that's monomial. And then again, you can keep adding as long as you only have one term and basically no addition and subtraction that's connecting anything else to it. Now, a binomial has two terms. So examples of this are like x plus 2. You have an x and you have 2, and it's being connected by addition. And then you also have 2b squared plus 2. This is another example. You could put a minus in there if you felt like it. As long as you only have two terms in it, it's a binomial. A trinomial would have 3 terms. So x squared plus 2x minus 1 would be a trinomial. We're going to be looking at this later on throughout the year. So things that look like this. And this is also trinomial. So again, I have 3 terms, 1, 2, 3, so it's a trinomial. Now, a quatrinomial, which is have 4 terms, so I just put one example here because they just look a little bit longer. So 5a cubed plus a squared plus ab plus 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms connected by addition and subtraction. So that's what that is. Anything above that, we would just call just a polynomial, anything that has more terms than that. All right, so let's go ahead and fill out this chart with the things that we just kind of talked about. So this first polynomial here would be called a, would have 2 terms, right? So there's 2 terms here, so we would call this a binomial. And I'm just going to put bino to make it shorter. Okay, now 10x squared plus 7x plus 6, there's 1, 2, 3 terms. So we would call this a trinomial. Negative 10n cubed, there's only one term here, so nothing else is being added or subtracted. So this is a classic monomial. And then here we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 terms. So we'll call this a trinomial. And this also has 3 terms, so this would also be a trinomial. Now, there are different types of trinomials and different types of binomials based on the degree. So basically what the degree is, it's the value of the greatest exponent. So for example, for this binomial right here, the greatest exponent is 1. There's like a 1 right here. So this has a degree of 1. Now, we have been dealing mostly with things that have a degree. We've been dealing with things that have a degree of 1 in this class because we've been dealing with linear functions. In the rest of the class, we're going to be talking about things that have a degree of 2. So here, the highest exponent is a squared. So this trinomial has a degree of 2. The highest exponent in this polynomial is 3, so this polynomial has a degree of 3. And then here we have a highest exponent of 2, so this trinomial has a degree of 2 as well. So these the first and the fourth are kind of very similar. They're both trinomials that have a degree of 2, which is what we're going to be dealing with in the future. Now this trinomial has a degree of 3 because the highest exponent is 3. So again, the degree is just what is the highest exponent that I have. Eventually we're going to go from having 1 to having 2, to be having a degree of 2. So our leading coefficient is just the coefficient that has that highest exponent. So in this first one, it would just, so I have this negative 7a, so the coefficient is just the number. It's negative 7. The coefficient of the variable with the highest degree here is just 10, number 10. Coefficient of this one is negative 10. The coefficient of this polynomial here is going to be negative 3. That's the leading one. And the leading coefficient here is just 6. Okay, so now with variables, we're just talking about, well, what are the variables here? So we want to separate variables and constants. Constants are just numbers, right? They don't have a variable with it. And variables are clearly other things that have the letters. So in this polynomial, I would say negative 7a is a variable and 2 is a constant. In this polynomial, 10x squared and 7x are variables, and 6 is a constant. In this polynomial, we just have a variable, and we don't really have any constants. So there are no constants here. In this trinomial, negative 3x squared and 4x are my variables, and negative 3 is my constant. And in this last one, 6a cubed and 5a squared are variables, and negative 5 is a constant. So this is the end of this video, and I hope that you found this helpful.